going on, guys? Nick here, Exit 12 Brewery, in the house, in the basement of Exit 12 Brewery. It's 7:45 in the morning, Sunday morning, and we are brewing today. I'm really pumped about it. Brandon could not be here. His wife's sick, my cousin. She's sick, so it's just going to be me again today. And again, we're doing a SMaSH beer, which I'm really pumped about. And we're going to be utilizing, as if you aren't aware, a SMaSH beer is single malt, single hop. So the basic idea is you would utilize this style in order to better understand what you're brewing with, the ingredients that you're brewing with. So we have a Sabro SMaSH in the kegerator right now that I just tapped yesterday, and it's drinking really nice right now. Probably use a tiny bit more carb, but it'll be ready soon enough. And today we're going to be utilizing the Comet hop. That's right. I think, initially we were going to utilize Medusa, but after talking to some of the guys, some of the brew tubers in my group, namely Nate, it just seemed like Medusa's a hop that you want to add other hops to and kind of blend it. So Comet, I think it's a higher alpha acid in terms of the Medusa. The Medusa was only 3%, so I was really interested in the aromas more than anything in the Medusa. So I'll add that at some point to something else. But we're going to be utilizing American Ale yeast, the White Lab 060, which is a yeast that we haven't utilized for this series just yet, and the Great Western 2-row. So we're really pumped about that. I'm also going to be making a couple of changes in terms of my brewing style. I brewed the Sabro SMaSH, and I made a video for it, but I didn't end up editing it and releasing it because too many things went wrong. And one of those things was I had the grain mill set very fine, which is something that we get really good efficiency off of in our cooler system and have gotten good efficiency off of the Robo Brew. But I ended up having a really, really slow mash. So the pump got clogged at some point. I had to dump all the grain out. And I think, I put the grain back in, and I cleaned the pump out, I cleaned the ball valve out, and I still was having a really slow filtering process. And I had 8 ounces of rice hulls in it. So I think what ended up happening was I basically was milling the grain too fine. So I think I'm going to try a couple of things. I'm gonna pull back the level of the grain mill, and I'm also going to I'm gonna wet condition the grain. Gash Slug, if you're not familiar with him, look him up on YouTube. He's an awesome brewer. I watch all of his videos, and it's a shameless plug for Gash Slug. His name's Gavin, and he in one of his videos was wet conditioning the grain. So basically what that is, and I'll do it, but basically what that is you're spraying the grain before you mill it. You spray it, you mix up. The idea is that to saturate the grain in a way that when you're milling it, the husks don't turn to powder, they kind of stay intact, which allows for better flow and hopefully better efficiency in the system. So we're going to do a couple of those to make those changes and see how smooth things go today. And if it goes smoothly, you will see this video. If it goes similar to the way the Sabro went, you probably won't, because that was a pretty miserable brew day. 60% efficiency or something like that. Wasn't fun, but this will be. So let's get going. Now I'm gonna wet condition the grain. Basically what you do is you put a scoop or two in. I'm gonna hit it with some distilled water, probably about 20 to 25 squirts or so. Gash Slug has like the exact measurement of the amount of water you should use. I'm not going to go that crazy, but if this doesn't work, maybe I'll look further into it. But for now, I'm just going to do a broad amount of water. But if you're a stickler for the numbers and really want to understand better, I think watching that video is probably the best thing to do. But for now, I'm going to put a scoop or two of grain in. I'm going to spray it, mix it up, and put another scoop in until all the grain's in and it's nice and conditioned.
Christmas,
All right, we got the grain conditioned. Let's get it milled. And as you can see, the husk's pretty much intact. I mean, that's a way thicker looking grain than what I normally get. Usually it's really powdery. It doesn't seem like there's a ton of powder though. So, not bad. Let's see what type of efficiency we get. Alright, we're just about at temp here, 150 degrees, so let's get mashed in. And here's what we got. The top screen is on. So far, so good on the mash. Coming up to the end of the boil. And as you can see, the filtering is working well. I'm really excited to take a gravity reading because this is one of the better flows that I've had. Alright, we're at the end of the boil. So now I'm going to pull the malt pipe up. I get the sparge water heating behind me. It's not quite there yet. The first runnings here come through. Hopefully it's going to filter through nice and quick. You'll probably be able to hear it. And we'll be off and hopefully sparging pretty soon. The filtering sounds like it's really good right now. Right. All right, so we're almost up to temp on the sparge water. So I'm going to put the water in this 5-gallon bucket. We're going to pour it in little by little, and we're going to start sparging. So now we're starting the sparge process. I got the water heated up in my mashing boil here from Brewer's Edge. Just got it, brand new. We're using it to heat up the sparge water. And I'm transferring the sparge water into the malt pipe of the RoboBrew. So the general idea behind heating up the first runnings while you're sparging the boiling is that it's a time factor. So the idea is that you want to get to boiling quicker, so you start heating up while you're sparging, and hopefully that cuts down on some time, as opposed to keeping it at your mash temp, which is 150, and sparging that way and then heating up. You probably save a good 20 minutes to a half hour. Yeah, it was a great time. We really enjoyed it, but it sucked because we just bought the house, so we really hadn't stayed in it but one night. All right, so we moved the beer upstairs. My basement, it's partially finished, so I have concerns about steam kind of getting up in the walls and the ceiling. So I could have put a fan, which was my initial idea, but it was just too loud. It was too in the way. I have 2 windows that I could have, blown the fan and kind of created so less steam stayed in the house. But like I said, it's just too much of a hassle. So I have my slider here to my left in case the steam kind of gets to be an issue. I've brewed up here quite a few times with the RovoBrew, so I'm not overly worried about it. And the ceiling does create kind of a barrier, against the steam building up and kind of mold and that type of thing. So we're at about 181 degrees right now, so we're climbing up to the boil. We ended up, right now I'm measuring my first runnings, but right now we hit our volume, so we're at 6.95 gallons, nailed it on the nose, so I'm pumped about that. The beer's looking good. We're almost up to a boil, like I said, so let's continue on. All right, we got 15 minutes left till the end of the boil. It's time for a teaspoon of Irish moss. All right, we got 10 minutes left till the end of the boil. I'm going to throw in a teaspoon of Yeast Nutrient. And an ounce of common hops. This is amazing. We're at the end of the boil. I just shut off the elements. And here's our last addition of boil hops. Now we're going to let this cool down to 160 degrees. And then we're going to add 1 more ounce of common hops. And then we're going to cool down, transfer to the primary fermenter, pitch the yeast, and call it a day. All right, so as you can see, much like the Belgian, if you saw that video of my Belgian double, I am going to be utilizing a chiller that was given to us that was included with the RovoBrew. So we're starting with the pump. Pumps the beer down, goes into the coil where I'll have ice and water, and it comes out and back into the pot. A very effective way to cool your wort. All right, we're down to 160 degrees, adding the whirlpool hops. All right, the 15-minute whirlpool is over. I'm going to start adding ice to the bucket. I'm going to put the wort chiller back into the bucket, and we're going to start cooling down to transfer to the primary. So today is Tuesday, the 18th of December. I brewed on Sunday, and the reason why I didn't make kind of a reflection video at the end was because I ran into some things, got pretty busy. The wife and I went out for the night, but I also didn't do it because I kind of wanted to reflect on the brew day and just kind of think about how things progressed or regressed, depending on how you look at it. As I mentioned in the video, I'm not even sure if I mentioned it, but I hit 79% mash efficiency, which utilizing the wet conditioning of the grain as well as opening up my mill a little bit to about 0.40 or so really helped, I think, ultimately. So I think that those are things that we're going to continue to do going forward. I didn't have any issues with the stuck mash. I didn't have any issues with anything else. I hit all my numbers. I hit my mash pH, which was 5.2 on the nose. That's due in large part to Brandon. He's the one that kind of does the water profiles. He's the water chemistry guy. And overall, I think the brew day was a success. I think ultimately we attenuate out very high. So for example, I released the Belgian Dark strong brew day video, and I just kegged that tonight, and we hit 87% attenuation, which I think is the highest we've ever hit. So we ended up nailing our ABV on that, even though our brew house efficiency was only at like 63%. So, I think ultimately we'll be all right with this Comet SMaSH beer. But, the 79% mash efficiency was great. However, the 67%, brew house efficiency was not. So I pretty much didn't lose anything on my OG from, pre-boil to essentially moving it into the primary. Now I could have, as a tip for people out there, I could have just continued the boil. I ended up losing a gallon. So I don't know how, and I'm still trying to figure that out. I don't know how losing a gallon ultimately throughout the 60-minute boil, how I have the same OG, how I have the same gravity from the pre-boil to the OG. But that's something that I may have to do more research. What you probably didn't see in the video was that I was sharing my brew day through the interwebs with main brew guy Gary. How's it going, man? We kind of were brewing together in a way, through the Google Hangout app. So him and I were talking, and he kind of mentioned boil aggressiveness, pretty much, boil vigor, and those electric systems don't really have great boil vigor. So that's something I need to look into. Lou Brew sent me some beers, and I'm just opening this now. I'm sorry, man. This is George's Microwave. It's his New England IPA. The guy is the president of Haze Nation, so it makes sense. A 6.8% New England IPA, and as you can see, it's definitely, I don't know if you can see it, but it's definitely hazy. It's definitely dank looking. It's got some stuff floating in it, which I assume is either hot particulate or maybe protein. Oh boy, that's a tropical end hit like you wouldn't believe. That's amazing. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate it. Wow, that's really good. So overall, there's some more research to be done, but in terms of some brewing things coming up, Brandon and I are going to be entering our first homebrew competition. It's a local one here in Massachusetts at a brewery called Barrel House Z. So we'll be posting hopefully a brew day to that, or maybe some details about the brew day. We're not sure what we're going to brew yet. We just found out the official date is in February. It's middle to late December now, so we have some time to figure that out. But overall, thank you guys for watching, and cheers.